Maria Jose Alvarado was a young woman who embodied grace and beauty. At just 19 years old, she won the title of Miss Honduras in April 2014, a moment that changed her life forever. With her radiant smile and natural elegance, Maria captivated everyone who saw her. Her journey to the crown was not just about looks, it was about hard work, dedication, and a passion for representing her country. Born into a modest family in Santa Barbara, Maria had always been driven and ambitious. She balanced her life between modeling and her studies, with dreams that stretched far beyond the runway. Maria aspired to become a diplomat, a goal that reflected her deep desire to contribute to her nation. Winning Miss Honduras was more than a personal triumph. It was a step toward making a difference on a larger scale. Her victory opened doors to opportunities she had always dreamed of, including the chance to compete on the global stage at the Miss World pageant in London. This was a significant milestone, not just for Maria, but for her family and her entire community, who took immense pride in her achievements. With the Miss Honduras crown, Maria stood poised to shine on one of the biggest platforms in the world, carrying with her the hopes and aspirations of her homeland. As she prepared for the Miss World competition, Maria was filled with excitement and anticipation. She was not just a beauty queen, she was a symbol of hope and inspiration. The world seemed ready to embrace her, and she was ready to make her mark. Maria's journey was a testament to her spirit and the dreams she cherished. Her future appeared bright, and the possibilities seemed endless. Maria Jose Alvarado's life was filled with promise and excitement as she prepared to represent Honduras on the global stage. But this bright future was tragically cut short in a shocking and brutal way. Just days before Maria was set to fly to London for the Miss World pageant, she and her older sister, Sophia Trinidad, went missing. Their sudden disappearance alarmed everyone, plunging their family and the entire nation into despair. The sisters had attended a birthday party in Santa Barbara on November 13th, 2014. It was a festive evening, filled with music, laughter and joy, but what should have been a night of celebration turned into a nightmare. Maria and Sophia left the party in a car with no license plates, a detail that in hindsight was a clear sign of danger. When they didn't return home that night, their family grew increasingly worried and reported them missing. Days passed without any news, and a massive search effort began, gripping the nation with fear and uncertainty. The mystery of their disappearance grew more intense with each passing hour. People across Honduras held their breath, hoping for a miracle. Sadly, on November 19th, 2014, the worst fears were confirmed. The bodies of Maria and Sophia were discovered buried near the Agua River in a remote area. They had been brutally shot multiple times, and their tragic end left a deep scar on all who heard the news. The vibrant young beauty queen and her sister, full of life and dreams, were gone. The discovery of their bodies sent shockwaves throughout Honduras and beyond. The loss of Maria, who had been a beacon of hope and pride for her country, was a devastating blow. The international community mourned with Honduras, as headlines across the globe reported the senseless murders of the two sisters. What should have been a journey of triumph and joy turned into a heartbreaking tragedy that cut short the lives of two promising young women. November 13th, 2014, that evening they attended a birthday party at a local spa in Santa Barbara. The celebration was for Sophia's boyfriend, Plutarco Ruiz, and the atmosphere was lively and joyful. Music played, people danced, and laughter filled the air. Maria, with her infectious smile, and Sophia, with her warm presence, were the heart of the gathering. It seemed like a perfect evening. As the night wore on, the sisters enjoyed themselves among friends and familiar faces. However, beneath the surface of this festive occasion, a darker reality was brewing. Around 11 p.m., the sisters were seen leaving the spa. They got into a champagne-colored car with no license plates, an unusual and unsettling detail that, in hindsight, was a red flag. This seemingly small detail would later prove to be crucial. Their departure marked the beginning of a terrifying ordeal. When Maria and Sophia didn't return home, worry turned into panic. Their family and friends tried to reach them, but there was no response. As hours turned into days, the absence of any word from the sisters became increasingly alarming. The hope of their safe return began to fade. Their mother, Teresa Munoz, was particularly troubled by the car's missing plates, a glaring sign that something was terribly wrong. This was not a common oversight. It hinted at a deeper danger. Desperation and fear gripped their family, who quickly reported the sisters missing. News of their disappearance spread rapidly. The entire nation of Honduras was on edge, and the story dominated headlines. The authorities launched a nationwide search. People held their breath, hoping for a miracle, but also bracing for the worst. The community, and indeed the whole country, watched and waited, united in their concern for the two young women. As each hour passed, the frantic search became more intense. The spa where the party was held, and those who had last seen Maria and Sofia, came under scrutiny. Plutarco Ruiz, the boyfriend of Sofia, and the owner of the spa, were among the first to be questioned. The last night the sisters were seen alive was now a haunting memory. What started as a celebration ended in a chilling mystery that captivated and horrified everyone who followed the unfolding story. As the days went on without any sign of the sisters, the fear of a grim outcome grew ever stronger. The joyful music and laughter of that night at the spa were replaced by a somber and anxious silence as the reality of their disappearance set in. As the hours ticked by with no word from Maria Jose and Sofia Trinidad, a deep sense of fear and anxiety began to grip their loved ones. The initial hours after their disappearance were filled with desperate phone calls and frantic messages, hoping to find any clue to their whereabouts. Teresa Munoz, their worried mother, clung to the hope that her daughters would walk through the door. But as night turned into day, that hope began to wane. Teresa's concern was amplified by a troubling detail. Maria and Sofia had left the spa in a champagne-colored car with no license plates. This unusual and suspicious fact raised immediate red flags. Teresa knew something was terribly wrong. Despite the lack of concrete evidence initially suggesting foul play, the eerie detail of the license plateless car couldn't be ignored. With mounting pressure from the public and the media, the Honduran police sprang into action. They quickly began to detain and question those who were last seen with the sisters. Among the first to be held was Plutarco Ruiz, Sofia's boyfriend, who had invited the sisters to the party. Ruiz was a central figure in the investigation due to his close relationship with Sofia and his presence at the party. The spa owner, where the festive celebration had turned into a site of dark suspicion, was also detained. These detentions were driven by a desperate need to find answers in the growing mystery. As the investigation deepened, it became clear that the last people to see Maria and Sofia alive would be crucial to solving the case. The entire nation was on edge. The news of their disappearance spread rapidly, and the community held its breath, united in concern and hope for the sisters' safe return. Television and radio broadcasts were filled with updates on the search, and social media buzzed with messages of solidarity and prayers. As days turned into a week, the hope for a positive outcome began to dim. The fear and anxiety that had taken hold of their family now extended to the entire country. Honduras watched in collective anguish as the search for Maria and Sofia intensified, each moment stretching into an agonizing wait for news. The unfolding tragedy drew sharp attention to the broader issues of safety and violence in Honduras, a country already grappling with high rates of crime. The disappearance of the sisters became a stark reminder of the dangers that women face daily. The community's desperation and sorrow grew with each passing hour, as they hoped against hope for the return of the two beloved sisters. In this tense and uncertain time, the detentions of Ruiz and the spa owner brought both hope and fear. Would these leads finally bring answers, or was the truth even more harrowing than anyone could imagine? As the nation awaited the outcome of the investigations, the story of Maria and Sofia's disappearance became a dark chapter in Honduras's ongoing struggle with violence and insecurity. After days of relentless searching and growing anxiety, the horrifying truth about Maria Jose and Sofia Trinidad's fate was finally uncovered. Nearly a week after their disappearance, On November 19, 2014, authorities made a grim discovery near the Agua River, in a remote and rugged area of Cabalas village. The sisters, who had been the focus of a nationwide search, were found buried in shallow graves. The scene that awaited the investigators was harrowing. The bodies of Maria and Sofia had been hastily covered with earth and vegetation, an attempt to hide the brutal reality of what had happened. Both sisters had been shot multiple times, a vicious act that ended their young lives far too soon. The discovery of their bodies was a devastating blow to their family, friends, and the entire nation. This tragic end confirmed the fears that had gripped everyone since the night they went missing. The news spread quickly, and the sense of collective grief was palpable. People from all corners of Honduras mourned the loss of the two vibrant young women whose lives were filled with promise and potential. Maria, who was set to represent her country on the international stage, and Sofia, who was deeply loved by her family and community, were now gone. The brutality of the crime shocked and saddened all who heard the news. In the days following the discovery, vigils were held and countless tributes were paid to the sisters. The national sorrow was deep and profound. The images of their radiant smiles, once symbols of hope and aspiration, now stood as painful reminders of the senseless violence that had taken their lives. This horrific finding also intensified the investigation. It was no longer just a search for missing persons, but a quest for justice. The focus sharpened on those who were last seen with the sisters, especially Plutarco Ruiz, Sofia's boyfriend. He was quickly arrested, and the evidence began to point towards a crime of jealousy and rage. The tragic end of Maria and Sofia's story underscored the urgent need to address the violence that plagued their country. Their deaths became a stark illustration of the dangers women faced in Honduras, a nation struggling with one of the highest homicide rates in the world. As the community and the nation at large grappled with the heartbreak, the call for justice grew louder. People demanded answers and accountability for the heinous crime. The discovery of Maria and Sofia's bodies was a turning point, marking not just the end of a search, but the beginning of a quest for justice and change. The sorrow and pain felt by their loved ones resonated deeply throughout Honduras and beyond. This tragic chapter highlighted the urgent need to protect the vulnerable and ensure that no other family would have to endure such a devastating loss. With the tragic discovery of Maria Jose and Sofia Trinidad's bodies, the investigation took on a new urgency. What had started as a desperate search for the missing sisters now became a hunt for their killer. The spotlight quickly fell on Plutarco Ruiz, Sofia's boyfriend, who had been with them on that fateful night. Ruiz was among the last people to see Maria and Sofia alive at the birthday party. As authorities delved deeper into the events of that night, a disturbing picture began to emerge. Witnesses recalled seeing Sofia dancing with another man, a seemingly innocent act that reportedly triggered a violent reaction from Ruiz. Fueled by jealousy and rage, he confronted Sofia, leading to a fatal escalation. Authorities pieced together a chilling narrative. In a fit of uncontrollable anger, Ruiz allegedly shot Sofia, unable to control his jealousy. Maria, who tried to intervene or escape, was also shot in the chaos that ensued. The brutality of the crime was shocking. What should have been a joyous celebration turned into a scene of horrific violence. Ruiz didn't act alone in the aftermath of the murders. With the help of accomplices, he hastily buried the sisters' bodies near the Agua River, hoping to hide the evidence of his crime. The lack of license plates on the car they left in suddenly made sense. It was part of a premeditated plan to obscure their whereabouts and evade immediate capture. The investigation uncovered more about the dark side of Ruiz's character and his possible connections to criminal elements. As police interrogated him and the others detained, including the owner of the spa, details about the night of the murders and the events leading up to them began to surface. The case was more than just a story of personal jealousy. It revealed deeper issues within society, touching on themes of gender violence, possessiveness, and the dangerous consequences of unchecked emotions. The brutality with which Maria and Sofia were killed struck a nerve across the nation, highlighting the pervasive violence against women in Honduras. The community's grief turned into a call for justice. As the investigation unfolded, there was a collective demand for accountability and answers. People wanted to know why these young women had to die and sought assurance that those responsible would be brought to justice. Plutarco Ruiz, once seen as Sofia's boyfriend, was now viewed as the prime suspect in a heinous crime. His actions on that night destroyed 2 lives and devastated countless others. As the legal process moved forward, there was a determined effort to ensure that he and any accomplices faced the full weight of the law. The murder of Maria Jose and Sofia Trinidad Alvarado is a heartbreaking tale of lost potential and the pervasive threat of violence. As we reflect on their lives, we are called to confront the harsh realities many women face and to advocate for a world where their dreams can flourish without fear.